All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages, using prayer to change your perspective in your marriage and family. So, I don't know exactly what's going to be the next step for you as far as your growth goes in your marriage and your parenting as a husband, as a father, but God does. And if you will spend some time with God, He can help you see what that might be. For me, I just had a really cool perspective shift I wanted to share that came through prayer. So just want to invite you guys to do the same thing. My name is Mike Frazier, MD. I'm a psychiatrist and marriage coach. I help high achieving Christian men have more intimate marriages. So some wins from guys in the program, the Strong Men, Strong Marriages program. Guys are supporting kids and wives as they're going back to school. It's transition time right now. Our kids went back to school this week. New schedules, all that kind of thing. So good chance to support your kids, support your wife, and be there for them. One of the gentlemen in the program is really kind of seen that invalidation triple threat. He's been doing a lot in his marriage and making shifts there, which has been really cool to see. And yeah, just seeing the damage that's been done. That's the first step. It's a hard step, but it needs to happen. Seeing those negative patterns has to happen so we can change them. Guys are finding new ways to connect with their wives, new experiences, new ways to talk, new communication skills. Guys are getting back into date nights, including me. We had kind of a separation kind of time that's been difficult but really good. Has grown into something good. One of the things that I was pondering on, and Elizabeth's been kind of encouraging me to get a tattoo for a long time, and I've been thinking about it and kind of was researching it the other night at the same time. And I like the idea of a phoenix, right? That can turn something bad into something good. That transformational power that I shared about recently. It's hard for me to give up the idea of like having power and like that destructive, angry power. It is a power, but the transformational power is actually stronger. You can burn a phoenix down, but it's just going to rise back up, right? And kind of similar to what Jesus shows, like his ultimate thing is like, hey, you can't even kill me, right? I'm going to come back. And that destructive power gets overcome by a transformational power. So yeah, I might do it. We'll see. I have some patterns picked out that are cool, but yeah. So Elizabeth and I are getting back into date nights, guys in the program, getting back into that. Super cool. And for me, just yeah, this time of prayer and really a shift of some goals that made a big difference for me. So I was up late a few nights ago, couldn't sleep. I've been like tracking my sleep more lately. I have, seems like I have one good day, one bad day, one good day, one bad day. My sleep scores like in the high 80s and then in like the 60s, 80s, 60s, 80s, 60s. But who knows why that is, but this was one of the bad nights, right? Couldn't sleep. Usually I'd be up kind of worried about that. Oh, I gotta fall asleep. Let me try some techniques. Let me try to, do all that. More young energy, right? Trying to make something happen. But instead, that particular night, I was just like, okay, yeah, I might not sleep and whatever, right? So I was reading books and stuff, but then I decided, you know what, this is a good time to just talk with God and kind of hear what He's got to say and tell Him what I've got on my mind. And so as I was listening and talking and thinking, started talking about my son, and I was just able to kind of see and kind of laugh at some of the ways I've been doing things in my marriage, and my parenting. Um, Whenever I talk with God, the way He usually talks with me is in this kind of joking, friendly way, and but still I get the point, right? But it's kind of like, yeah, man, it's time to change this, but you know, it's friendly, right? It's joking. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, you got me. Um, so yeah, that's how I feel that communication with God. So it's kind of like that the other night. And really the biggest insight was kind of like, hey, look, Mike, like, you know, your main goal with your son has been for him to move out of the house. Okay. And you're kind of, everything's revolving around that. How do I make the house more uncomfortable for him so he wants to leave? How do I introduce him to the idea of responsibility so that he takes that on when he leaves, right? But and like, there's nothing wrong with having that as a goal for your kids to move out, right? To move out of the house and live their independent lives. That's true. But it does become a problem, at least it did for me, and has for me for many years, and really for all the kids, right? This is a really big perspective shift for me, and I'm excited about it. Um, it's if the goal is just for them to leave, like, what about when they come back for holidays? What about if something bad happens to them and they come back, right? I genuinely used to look at that as a super failure as a parent. Like, if that kid ever comes back, major failure. Main goal, get that kid independent, okay? So some of that is probably younger me stuff, not wanting to take care of people forever, being done with that, right? Um, Part of it is what I genuinely believed, that an important part of a dad's job in particular is to help his kids be independent. I still think that's important, to help your kids learn to be independent. But really, the way I looked at it was, man, like, if I never saw the kids again versus if the kids were dependent on me forever, I would 100% choose to never see that kid again. Like, that's where I was at, okay? Um, and if someone would have said that to me 5 days ago, right, it would have been like, yeah, exactly. But God helped me see a better goal, okay? And it was in this kind of visual way. A lot of times I get things in that visual way from God. And just like, hey, how about this as the goal instead? Have a good relationship with your oldest son and with all your kids. It's like, oh, yeah, maybe that is a better goal, right? Um, so it just shifts things so much when you're like, your goal is get this kid out at any cost, right? Versus let's have a great relationship with this kid and still be his parent and still encourage him to move into, these more independent places, still put appropriate limits on what he can and can't do while he lives in this house, right? All of that. It's going to be natural for him to want to leave as he grows and develops, and that's inside of him, and he'll bloom and blossom when it's time for him to do it, right? But he's a different plant than the other kids, right? And each kid's a little different, and they're going to need different things to really bloom in the world and do what they're going to do. Um, and so, if my job though is to have a good relationship with him, be part of that with him, continue to have a good relationship with it throughout his life, throughout my life, okay, it just changes that whole dynamic, right? So, man, just a major change of heart for me. Major, like, I can't tell you how big that shift is for me to have that primary goal of getting this kid out to let's have a great relationship. Just totally different, totally different. Big shift in goals and priorities. So again, like, he's 19, and Elizabeth and I are trying to decide, okay, like, let's have him pay some rent. What's going to happen with that rent money? Okay. So, and yeah, that's still going to be a discussion, right? And we got to figure it out and talk. But the main goal now is, now I'm aligned with Elizabeth, right? Her goal the whole time has been, let's have a good relationship with him forever and help him grow into who he wants to be. My main goal is, let's get this kid out as soon as possible, right? And so we're running into a lot of conflict because our main goal was different. And that's on me, right? I mean, I'm just grateful God helped me see that. And I think a lot of it was unconscious, and a lot of it has come out as I've been doing this kind of younger child work and stuff. But I like this one a lot better. Let's just have good relationships with the kids forever. How does rent play into that? How does that help him? How do we help him develop and still maintain a good relationship with him? Because again, as a parent, it's not just a friendship, right? We're responsible for his growth in ways and responsibility and things like that. So, but anyway, yeah, just enjoying moments together becomes more of a priority, right? And I feel like now I have more wisdom than a few years ago, where I would have tried to just force it. Okay, let's have this good relationship. That means we got to spend this time together, this time together, this time together, right? Instead, like, even just today, right, having this shift, I'm just, man, I look at him totally different, and I just see the good in him. And man, like, I feel bad that I spent a lot of time not seeing that, honestly. But, seeing it now, just seeing the good stuff he's doing, how he interacts with little kids, he's just so cool like that. Um, I don't know. I think you can feel it, right? Because already, things are better. He's opening up a little bit more. And maybe I just feel different, right? And so it just seems like he feels different. But either way, like, today was a day of building good relationships, right? So was yesterday. And now I get to spend a lot more days like building good relationship with him and having that be the primary goal. Are we going to run into issues? Is there going to be, things that we need to enforce that he doesn't like? Of course, right? And that's okay, right? Again, like, parent-child relationship's a little different than just a friendship or something like that. So, in summary, right, what shift needs to happen for you to go to your next level of joy and connection in your marriage and parenting. And maybe you're listening to this and you're like, oh yeah, Mike, that was mine. That'd be great if what I shared helped you, but maybe it's something totally different, right? Maybe you don't even know what it is. And so just take some quiet moments, talk to God in prayer, do it on a night you can't sleep, and just relax into it, more of that yin energy, receiving energy. So you got to be in that yin receiving energy to really get an answer from God, right? Because if I was like, hey, God, how do I kick my kid out of this house as soon as possible? That comes with a different energy, right? Instead of, hey, God, tell me what I kind of need to know now, right? In my relationship. Feel like something's off, not quite sure it is. Help me out, right? That's receiving energy, that's open energy, that's listening energy, right? You need both, okay? But get into that receiving energy. See what God has for you, right? And again, like maybe God talks to you this way, maybe He doesn't. But for me, it comes in that fun, joking, caring way. That's how I can kind of recognize it. So, yeah, guys, like if you want to do this together, learn to listen to God, learn from each other, right? Grow together. Come join us in Strong Men, Strong Marriage. If this resonates with you, is this, this is how you want to live your life as a husband and father. It's open this week, so come join us. It's just $200 a month for our group program. Less than what you pay for therapy. And yeah, you get the benefit of the full program that teaches you the different tools and skills. Come to our group calls, talk with us. If you are looking to go more intensive and do some of that inner child work and go back and really do some healing together in an intensive way, we do that too. Mainly for guys. Well, it is for guys that can access a 5-figure investment to do that. So if that's you, come do it. Let's do it together. So stay strong in God, men. Come join us in Strong Men, Strong Marriages, and we will see you next episode.